This is going to be sort of an interlude video between the topic of last video and the next one. This is sort of just in between, I guess. I just sort of wanted to say that, I feel like a lot of people out there, including myself, have taken way too long to discover the emotional connection that sex has. At least for men, we don't see sex on the same level that women do. For a lot of us, including myself until recently, not only is it a means to an end for those who want to do it, at least for their first couple of times, for the quote-unquote social status of being somebody who is able to do that, because nobody wants in our society. It would be very emasculating for men to be considered themselves virgin. Not only that, it's just the physical aspect of it. Things that just arouse men and things that get men off. You know what I mean? As for women, it carries much more weight than it usually does. Not for all. Some find it the same way that men do, and some involve themselves in sex work and things of that nature because it's something that they deem like a little bit more lighthearted than somebody who is trying to match their sexual tension with true, genuine romance. And that's sort of the thing I wish us men did more. You know what I mean? I personally feel like we shouldn't be having sex unless it's somebody that we love. People have their own hormones and their own ways of and their own ways of letting out frustrations and things of that nature. And a lot of the immediate dopamine grasping of social media has caused casual sex and things of that nature to become more commonplace in today's day and age. I mean, it was happening before, but let's be honest, man. We got TikToks that have no filter on what age demographic it's seen, just showed absolute softcore stuff. You know what I mean? And it's honestly for profit, for benefit, for instant gratification. And at what cost does it do? In modern society, those who view sex as a means to an end or just a dopamine response will soon turn what they see online, and their behavior patterns will eventually turn them into more depraved individuals. And it can go both ways. Those who stay virgins for a long time in a society where sex is commonplace and sex is something that men get praised for if they manage to have a lot of it, you know what I mean? Those people can also become depraved because they get within themselves and they have the instant gratification online, and then they soon get desensitized to certain things, and then that can lead into actual depraved behaviors and pushing the boundaries on what is and isn't considered normal. You know, in the big 2025, sex in terms of fetishes has far surpassed and popularized everything that is out there, and a lot of people talk about it as just shock points at this point. Foot fetishes are a thing of the past. I'm not even going to talk about it because honestly, it's not great. And even in today's society, people view sex, vanilla sex, or postmarital sex as to be some of the lamest shit ever. Which, I mean, sure, if you're somebody who has different taste and want to be somebody with a different taste, then sure, vanilla sex between two consenting adults is fine. I just don't feel like people grasp the difference because it also gets memed very well. A lot of pornographic material, drawings, Rule 34, all of that stuff gets memed. So when it turns into meme form, it kind of decreases the gravity of like what it actually is. And you know, this is not to say that everybody should be married before they have sex. You know, the basic like conservative idea that, you know, it is a very Christian thing to be super modest and everything, but I'm just saying that, like, I feel like maybe schools should intensify more on sex education and sex safety protocols. I also feel like we as a society should start moving towards more productive affirmations for people still coming of age and still developing their psychology about what they do and do not consider, because that is what creates a massive disparity between men and women, because men and women who are straight are always going to be at each other's throats for certain things, you know? It all boils down to personality types, what they do and do not feel secure about, what is forced upon each other, toxic masculinity, toxic femininity, the social media beauty standard when everybody has a specific type that they have to match in order to feel anywhere close to being accepted online. I believe that 90% of human beings are probably unhappy with how their sex life has turned out, and those who are ones who are actually genuinely emotionally intelligent with themselves to communicate with a partner or with, you know, people who are like-minded like them, who can practice casual sex on a safe scale, you know. And I feel like we have more education than we have ever had. I just feel like it should be enforced more, because Gen Z has to be some of the most saving savvy, has to be some of the most safe individuals that I have ever seen. Yeah, sure, there are still people, you know, 19, 20, 21, sort of close to my age, where we're still speeding down a road and we're still doing things that we find ourselves submitting to certain norms that we usually wouldn't have made ourselves had we not had the exposure. But I feel like Gen Z has the potential to always keep in mind safety aspects of everything. You know, we have evolved to having more openness on the terms of sexuality spectrums. Everybody has their own type. Some people are demisexual, which is like the goody of the entirety of safe sex, and then you have people who have those varieties, good or bad, you know? My point being is that I feel like a lot of what we have to do in the future is keep our men from being discouraged, or keep our men from causing a massive swell of insecurity about themselves. If they know that they're doing right, they're not committing anything wrong, and they really keep themselves together, then the whole sexual aspect of their behaviors in terms of, you know, their own masculinity and their insecurities, you know, stage performance syndrome for sex and things of that nature will improve. You know, everybody's still talking about dick size. Everybody's still talking about women as well. And that's another point I wanted to get to. I really don't think people genuinely only want to go for hotties. I feel like that is one of the biggest things that maybe the porn industry has like a lot to do with it. But it's also the fact that like everybody gets taught that you have to go for the most attractive person. You know, it would sound like looks max or black pill cope, because I myself am not like, you know, the supermodel, but I also agree that like forced ideologies about attractiveness can cause insecurities amongst everybody. I feel like looks maxing is probably one of the biggest things, because a lot of men have the disconnect between pride in themselves and then pride in their peers and pride in the opposite gender, if they're attractive enough and if they're fuckable enough. You know what I mean? You know, men's standards are way lower than they used to be, and women's standards have been more smart. I wouldn't say they have increased. I just feel like they go for guys who, you know, are with it. You know, like how your dad, you know, always talks about how he used to pull so many bitches. Yeah, it's because back in that time, the bare minimum was don't beat the fuck out of her and don't essay her. That's what I was going to do. I was going to censor the word that I'm thinking of. That was the bare minimum. back in those days. But nowadays, men have to be more with it, have to be more intelligent with themselves, and have to be less insecure. If they do that, then there will be less anger and there will be less arguments between men and women. So let's really just focus in on stopping sexual depravity from the get-go and teach our young men to be better. Thank you.